Oh boy, has it been a while. It feels like it's been a year since I've last done one of these videos. It's only been a month. But anyway, Season 70 is here. And first of all, we got some buffs straight away, and apparently some discounts for the card skins in the shop. The Heroine has gone from 11 cost to 10 cost. Potentially actually quite big. I don't know. Okay. So the Heroine seems to be one that people are very split on. Generally, I consider the Heroine to be one of the weaker DT cards, but I know there are other experienced players in my server who consider her extremely underrated, who have played a lot more with her, who consider her to be one of the better DT cards. And, I don't know, I think there's a chance there, right? But it feels like a lot of the time when they send me the decks, it just feels like what's good about the decks are the decks and not the Heroine. But, I don't know, it could... Excuse me. I don't know, it could just be a thing of, oh, like, it's just because you got unlucky, just you didn't happen to need the Heroine in those games. But whenever I played the decks I got sent with the Heroine, they usually did well, but it was usually everything in the deck except the Heroine that would win me the game, and I'd never actually win from playing the Heroine. So, yeah. So, I didn't really have that high of an opinion on her. The only thing I was really trying to do with her seriously was a combo deck, which I was going to make a video on, but it was a lot of effort trying to get this combo to work, and in the end I just thought, okay, I'm going to have to sift through a lot of hours of footage to get together a good video on this. But essentially, if I could get just a few more cards to put this together, I feel like this would genuinely be a really good combo. At the moment it's definitely a meme. Essentially my idea was that I could use Arcade Machine, which already in itself is a bit of a meme, just man. Yeah, this card, which is already in itself quite a meme because it takes a lot of effort to get it to work, and even when you do get it to work, it only provides cost discounts extremely late in the game, which isn't that helpful really a lot of the time. But the thing is that what I realised is that this could be made much more useful, not by using it for tempo, by abusing the cost reductions, but instead by stacking discounts on the Heroine, and then doing the whole using Royal Integrity to duplicate your Heroine, because it's an exact copy, so the duplicate you get will have the cost copied from the discounted Heroine. So you can play a 0-cost Heroine followed by two 2-cost Heroines, and have, you know, obviously 3 Heroines on the board for only 4 gold, which is definitely a game-winning combo. You very rarely lose the game after having made that play, and it's definitely doable. The only problem is... You see, I thought that I would do this deck because I thought that the Arcade Machine and the Heroine's effects would line up really nicely. They all need one of each rarity. But actually what I found happen a lot of the time was, even though it wasn't that hard getting the Arcade Machine activated, the Heroine was actually the problem. I'd almost always get a Legendary and a Common, and then I'd struggle to either get the Rare or the Epic. Sorry, the other way around. I'd almost always get a Legendary and an Epic, but then I'd struggle to get the Common or the Rare in my dust pile, especially because sometimes I get the card in my hand, but there's a reason that I can't play the card until later, and if I play it, it will brick the deck, but also if I don't play it, I won't have a Common or a Rare in my dust pile. So, you know, there's a lot of issues there. So that was kind of what held the deck back, but if I could get a few more cards to put that together, then I think that could be good. This cost reduction probably isn't that relevant for that deck, although it definitely helps. But I do think that the Heroine costing 10 could be pretty big, just because it's the same thing I said before, of the second you go from 11 to 10, that's actually quite a big jump, since, you know, it means that you can actually play the Heroine on a turn where you save no gold to carry over to the next turn. With 11, of course, you needed to at least save 1 gold from the last turn to be able to even play the Heroine no matter what turn it was. So that actually might prove to be bigger than I think. I definitely think the Heroine is not a bad DT now if they cost 10. I'm not sure if I'd go as far as to say they're a good TT, I'd have to play with them. Oh yes, also disclaimer, I'm not gonna lie, I have basically not played Undercards at all this last month, so might be a bit out of the loop in terms of whatever the meta is right now. Angel of Death got another buff from 14 to 13. Okay, it looks like there might genuinely be coming a good DT card. Okay, so I think I've said this before, but screw it. My opinion on this DT is that technically there's not much wrong with this. It's got big stats, it's big value if you summon a copy of a monster, and its dust is easy to... oh, god damn it. Its dust is easy to underestimate because the Lost Souls are all 3/3s, so if you fill a full board with 3/3 Lost Souls with these dust effects when this dies, then that's essentially a 12/12 out of this. So what can happen a lot of the time is the opponent has to kill the Angel of Death, otherwise they die, but then when they kill it, they then have a full board to deal with, and if they can't deal with that full board, they also die, and usually they can't do both. So, you know, I definitely, like, I'm not saying that I didn't see the value in it. The main problem was, well, that's fine. I always felt like with Angel of Death, what deck do you put it in? Because if you're going for a super control-y long game deck, and that's why you're running such an expensive card with such a huge effect, Kara is just better. It really just is. Kara's just better. It's like, okay, but yeah, no, actually, I don't want to go for the extremely long game. I'm actually just a mid-range deck, and I want one really expensive card as my top end. Now, that, I think, is the best way to use Angel of Death, probably. But even then, you've obviously got, well, we just looked at the Heroine. I'm not going to lie, I think that she's probably, especially now she costs 10, probably better than Angel of Death as a top end for a mid-range in most situations. I think the other problem as well is with the... oh wait, yeah, I don't think there was a V on it. With the Angel of Death, with this card, it's like you have to already have a minion on the board to summon an exact copy of as well. Oh wait, I forgot. Yeah, wait, you can target enemies with this. Never mind. But obviously if you target enemies, you're not guaranteed to get anywhere near as much value off of it. So if you want to get high value off of this card, you need to already have something big on the board, which is kind of difficult when you need 13 gold for this, which means you have to have saved gold from the last turn. It's hard to play something that's a good enough target to copy while still leaving a whole 3 gold left over so that the next turn you'll have enough to play the Angel of Death. Still, though, this discount's going to help. It might be starting to get to the point where Angel of Death is getting cheap enough that they can just about do it. I'm honestly kind of surprised they just keep making this card cheaper, because personally I would probably rework it a bit, because I just feel like this set of effects is kind of weird. Like, it's always going to be outclassed by something. Obviously, the other thing you could say is, oh, well, this card can summon copies of monsters, isn't that effective? But the Vessel, if you want to copy monsters, the Vessel does it cheaper, gives you more copies. It's like, I don't know where you use this card is the problem, except that's the top end of a mid-range deck. But as I said, even then, it's competing for slots with the Heroine, and even arguably, depending on whether the deck runs enough unique cards, Soulless Chris. Oh, actually, Chris itself as well. Yeah, I didn't even think about that. You can just run Chris in a deck that isn't necessarily a Chris deck, so to speak, because it is definitely good enough on its own. So, yeah. Anyway, Ultimathrash. Wait, down by 2. Ultimathrash is down to 10. Oh, wait, yes. Wait. I'm trying to remember. Okay, did this get changed at some point? Yeah, it summons Ultimathrash. Okay, so that change is basically irrelevant. Because you don't play this card, you put it in your deck, and at the start of the game, it gets destroyed and turned into something else, and then you get a free spell later after you've met all the conditions that summons the card. So the cost of the minion itself does not matter for any situation except it being returned to your hand. So I mean, still technically a buff, but not really much of one. Oh my god, wait, Grillby? Grillby got buffed? I mean, okay, I don't think I'm mad about this, because I do think that early game board focused, like, decks, they are healthy to have those be powerful decks. It is healthy for the game. But, man, Grillby was already a pretty popular aggressive card as a 5 cost. I'm surprised they're knocking him down to 4, but sure. Maybe it's a meta-dependent thing, I don't know. Diamond Boy 2 has gone up to a 6/5. Yeah, I like that. Oh, you know what? Yeah, I do like that. So this card I was always weird on. Actually, do I like that? I was always weird on this card because I thought, I like, in theory, having an overstated unit that makes your opponent take less damage. Because I get that if you can find ways to abuse that ability or, you know, just self-silence it, then it's not much of a downside that your opponent takes 2 less damage. And I really wanted to use this card, but at the end of the day, you know, I think everything is just my own body's trying to sabotage this video as much as possible right now. Anyway, I can't even go a single goddamn word. Okay, right, anyway. Yeah, Diamond Boy for 2. Every single time I tried to put it in a deck, I just realised, like, what is my reward for doing all this? It's really not much. It's just a 5/5 for 4. Like, don't get me wrong, it's better than normal stats, but it's, like, not that much better. Now, the only thing I'm a bit disappointed about is the attack that went up, because what I think I need to make this a card I would run is make it a 5/6 or a 4/7. If it was a 5/6 or a 4/7, either of those stat lines, I'd probably be looking at like, ooh, I like the look of that. 6/5, not so much, but I get that it's like, they're like, oh, well, now it's like a 4/4/5, kind of, because the 6 take 2, it's 4. Damn it. I see where they're coming from. I would have preferred more health than attack. But at least now it looks like a decent self-silence target, and at least now it could be a good trading tool. Actually, yeah, to be fair, it might be good just to use this for trading and not any kind of aggressive strategy where you try to get around its downside. Oh, whoa, they buff purple Mascot too? What the... Okay, I feel like this card was massively underrated and actually extremely strong as it was, but sure, give it another health, why not? Damn, it's a full 4/5 now, you don't even have to run Synergy in your deck, that's just good stats. My god. Okay, right. Ugly Fish got buffed. Very, very much needed. Oh, it's a base card. It's a base card. Why does it do this? Why can I not look at base cards in crafting? Wait, now I'm... There we go. Send an enemy monster to the enemy hand. Oh. Wait. That's not what... Is that... I'm just going to assume that was a change from ages ago that I never saw. Because what I remember this being was I think it was a 9-cost 4/8 haste that whenever it hit an enemy, halved their attack. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm glad they're buffing this card, but isn't this still garbage? I'm pretty sure this is still garbage. Yeah. Yeah, that does appear to be garbage. A card like this could be decent if it was less stats and less cost, because having an effect like this to remove a big taunt in an aggressive deck would probably not be too bad if you're a newer player using base cards. The problem is that sending a monster on the board to the enemy hand is most effective when you just kill them that turn because of that. Like, that's the best way to use this, is in a situation where they don't even get to live to the next turn to put that thing back on the board. Or, for whatever reason, they can't put it back on the board. Maybe it's a super expensive card, but, like, more likely, they just don't even live to play it. And if you're paying extra for this effect, because you get a 5/5 with it, but then you have to kill them before the 5/5 can even attack to get the maximum benefit off the effect, it's like, nah. I'm not a fan of that. Alright then. Asriel. Asriel got buffed. Oh, right, okay. Oh, wait. Oh. Did I miss a mid-season update? I kind of thought that someone... To be fair, I didn't check for one. I don't know, I kind of just assumed someone in my Discord would, like, tell me if there was a mid-season update. Because I remember they made Asriel a legendary, and then they made it so, like, it had delay, like, for every card that's died this turn, like, that's gone to your dust pile, put it back in your deck. And this is completely different. And it doesn't say you got an effect update. Well, anyway, okay, there's a 5-cost 5/5 now, apparently, that removes all negative effects from an ally monster and fully heals it. Huh. Feels very underwhelming for a legendary. In terms of sheer power, it's probably pretty good still. I don't know. It is just decent stats. You only got to heal a little bit for it to be good. You can use it to remove Paralyze, is the big thing, I guess. You can use it to remove Chaos. Chaos doesn't matter as much anymore. Yeah, I guess Paralyze is the big one. And does it remove Silence? I'm pretty sure last time I checked that any cards that remove all negative effects don't remove Silence anymore, even though they used to. I'm pretty sure that's how it works. If it can remove Silence, though, that's pretty big. Anyway, I'm not gonna lie, I don't know what to say about this one. I guess it just looks decent in a lot of tempered. I feel like I'm missing the point on this one. I feel like there's some application to this card that's absolutely insane that I'm not seeing, but yeah, I'm not seeing it. I don't think I'm gonna sit here and try and see it for too long. Soul Cage got buffed. Kind of surprised actually. This card looks strong to me, but to be fair, I never bothered to play it. It was just kind of, and I kind of forgot it existed shortly after it was added. But I don't think that's because it was bad. But then again, I never saw anyone else playing it really. Got one extra attack though. It's only a small buff to be fair, and I don't think it will change that much. But yeah, I think this card's good. I just anyway, Big Hat Charles. Whoa, 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 whoa. Oh, wait. Oh, wait, is this a nerf? Is this a nerf in disguise? Okay, wait, no, I think it's a buff, but, like, overall, but, like, still, this is, isn't that interesting? Okay, so what's going on here, basically, is, I don't know if this was, like, a meta deck, but I did hear people in my Discord server saying how Big Hat Charles is actually really annoying to get rid of now with buffs. So maybe they realized, hey, it's super annoying to deal with a buffed up Big Hat Charles, so let's give it transparency, which is technically a buff because it makes it harder for the enemies to kill him when he's played, but actually it's also kind of a nerf because it means you can't target him with your own buffs until after the first turn he's played, which gives your opponent a chance to kill him before he gets buffed. You can only buff him with board-wide buffs or randomly targeted buffs while he's got transparency. So that's interesting. I'm actually really having to think about this now. Is this actually a nerf overall, like a net nerf? I don't know, it's probably pretty neutral to be honest. I don't know, it's just... Usually I would say giving any card transparency, even if it prevents them from being buffed, for the most part, would be something that I would consider, you know, still a buff for that card, even if it doesn't work that well with its intended use of buffing it up beforehand, but with this card, it doesn't seem to do much with transparency. Like, it doesn't have anything that really makes it more threatening to get rid of, and, like, you might have to get rid of it immediately, unless you buff it, but you can't buff it because it has transparency. So... But I suppose at least you can now drop it on an empty board, and your opponent just can't target it. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know how to feel about that. I think that is not really a buff. I think it's a kind of half nerf in disguise. Anyway, Burgersimp. So they now give... Was it 8 before? Oh wait, no, it was program 7, I think. No, it was program 6 before. Dismount. Did it have... Oh, I don't think it had taunt before. Dismount. Yeah, I think the taunt is new. Let me just double check. I think it was... So 5, 6, that's 11. Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah, I think everything else is the same. They just gave him taunt. Good, but also... Well, no, actually, this is quite clever. Because one of the main problems with Burgersimp is that... Oh, wait, it also says earn 8 gold, not set your goal to... Oh, hang on. Hang on. Okay. Oh, wait, is this actually genuinely good then? So this is a 5/6/4 taunt, but if you have 11 gold, it becomes a 3/6/4 taunt. That might unironically be good. Just because cheap taunts are really nice to have when you can combine them with other huge cards. So you can play a card that has an enormous effect, but usually would be too dangerous to play because it leaves you wide open to get killed the next turn, in combination with a nice cheap taunt. And obviously the fact that taunt is cheap is why you can afford to play both in the same turn. And that works well with this card as well, because to get the maximum value from this card, you actually already have to have a lot of gold on you. So the only downside to this is that you would have to play the Burgersimp first before you play the whatever big card you're comboing with it. And that might matter for some situations, but as long as that ordering doesn't matter, that seems actually quite good. Burgersimp might unironically be good now. That's interesting. Okay. Hathy also got changed. What was the change, actually? I should have looked. Effect update. Oh, okay. Wait. This isn't... Oh, yeah, that's the head Hathy, that's why. Okay, there we go. Support, give the attacker +1 attack. Oh. Okay, so I've always been interested in proper trying out a Hathy deck, but I basically never have, just because a lot of the cards that I feel like would get a lot of value off of slowly having their attack ramp up already start off with 2 or less attack, and Hathy before this buff could only buff attackers with 3 or more attack. Now that you can give anything +1 attack with Hathy, that's interesting. In fact, I think you could give 0 attack monsters attack buffs this way, since in this game 0 attack monsters are still able to attack, they just will deal 0 damage. But now they'll actually be able to deal 1 damage with Hathy, and that will slowly ramp up to more and more. That's interesting. Ooh, okay, I like that. I like that. I'm not sure if that makes Hathy instantly relevant. They're still a bit of a slow card, still a little bit greedy, but it depends. It depends what kind of new combos that work really well with Hathy are activated by having so many more minions be able to be buffed. The Sadmobile got buffed. It's been a long time since I've seen this card. Well, I say a long time. I don't think I've ever seen anyone play this card. 6 cost 4/7. Draw a card. If an ally monster costing 6 or more gold die this turn, give the card -2 cost. Oh, that's different. Oh, wait, okay. Yeah. That's interesting. So, this is good because it shows a lot of awareness from the devs that they're calling this a buff, because many people could consider this a nerf. So, essentially, what this used to do is it drew a card, and then if an ally monster costing 6 or more gold died this turn, it would draw a second card. And in most card games, that would be better. In most card games, a 6 cost 4/7 that draws you a card, and then draws you another card if an expensive card died that turn, would be better than this version, which just draws 1 card and makes it cheaper if a 6 cost or more died that turn. However, the reason why this is actually better in Undercards is because of the fact that draw in Undercards is insanely efficient to the point where it's actually not that valuable anymore. And one big problem is when you have expensive cards that draw you lots of cards, they're actually usually pretty bad because they end up just filling your whole hand and you end up having more cards in your hand than gold you have to spend on them. And you start milling things and you start losing the board because you slowed down your tempo to get those cards and all that. So yeah, now this might unironically be a good card draw option. It only draws 1 card, which is, 1 card is fine. We don't need that much card draw for most decks. It's got really good stats considering it's a card draw card, and on top of that, it has the opportunity to give that new card a discount now, even if it's only -2 cost, which means that this would effectively be a 4/4/7 in the long run that also drew you a card, which is nice. And obviously the discount helps you empty your hand faster, so you're not just losing onboard tempo because you stopped draw cards. So yeah, and it also obviously helps you not mill yourself. So yeah, Sadmobile may be genuinely good now. You know, when I saw it was getting buffed, I was like, okay, what are you going to do to it now? You're going to give it like +1 health or whatever. It's still going to be useless. But now this thing that seems like a nerf almost to I imagine a lot of people is actually probably one of the best buffs they could have given it. I don't know, maybe they could have made it a bit more than a -2 cost, but I like the look of this, to be honest. Actually, the only thing about this that makes me a little bit concerned is the fact it's a 6 drop, and 6 is just a very awkward cost when it comes to being stat efficient. Like, I don't know, like, especially because 7 exists, you know, and you get 7 gold on turn 3 in this game. It's kind of awkward having a 6 drop here. But I think that's fine. I think when you got this much health, that's fine. Well, anyway, so sorry, got buffed. Oh, it adds 1 Doodlebug to your hand, and I assume the Doodlebug is different? It used to add 2. Oh, I like that, yes. So, essentially, wait, is that, let me just double check what it says here. Yeah. So, essentially, what So Sorry used to do is, okay, it's a 5 cost 4/5, and it will add 2 Doodlebugs to your hand, and the Doodlebugs will, oh wait, the Doodlebugs actually got buffed twice. So the Doodlebugs would be a 2/2/2 that would gain 1 health or 1 attack, depending on which side of the board you played them on. But the problem with So Sorry was that oftentimes he would just clog your hand, and again, you would just start overdrawing stuff, because the only deck he kind of makes sense in is a very board-focused, usually pretty aggressive deck, but then those kind of decks, like, it's like, okay, now, so I've got to spend 5 and then 2 and then 2 to get this card out of my hand. So, yeah, it's a bit of a weird one. But now he only has one to your hand, but that one has loop 1, which means that when you play it, it gives itself a copy. So you still get 2, you just don't get the second one until you played the first one, which is actually an upside, because it means that you have less hand slots being clogged at once. And on top of that, they now get +2 health or +2 attack, depending on which side they're played on, which is very nice. Very much approve of those buffs. Okay, Doodlebug. Okay, yeah, we just seen how Doodlebug got buffed. Ice Shock. Oh, yes, this card needed a buff, alright. Deals 2 damage to a monster if it kills paralyze the adjacent ones. So all they did to this was give it +1 damage. Wait, didn't it used to cost 3 as well? Okay, wait, I don't know. This might be decent. I don't know. I mean, it still looks like one of... It still looks to me like one of Patience's weaker spells, but I will say now it's probably playable. Like, you could put it in a deck, I guess. Wait, actually, it does trigger Shock. It's nice and cheap, but still triggers Shock. So if you've got a Shock deck, then... Yeah, or like a Mines deck or whatever. Clam Girl's got Rework. Oh. No. Clam Girl. Give 2 random spells in your hand, -2 cost. Okay, so I believe there used to be a 6 cost, 4/4. Then instead of giving 2 random spells, would give every spell in your hand -2 cost. I'm just guessing that there was ways you could get stupid amounts of discounts in the right deck with this, and it just wasn't there. That's going to be my guess. Fair enough. Animals got nerfed. Oh, damn. I thought animals would be good. I didn't think they'd be so good that they would need to be nerfed. Okay, so they lost a health, did they? And the effect is apparently a different magic. Switch, gain haste. The next 2 monsters in your deck +1/+1. I think it used to be next 3 monsters. Okay, well, that kinda sucks, but definitely could be worse. They still look playable, but I'm a little bit sad that they had to nerf them like that, but I guess they were apparently too good. Vase effect update, it's got Taunt. Oh, finally! Okay, so just mount. So this spell already exists in Justice. This is what summons the Vases, because they're tokens. You can't just put them in your deck. You have to summon them through another card. And this is the main card that summons Vases. It's a 4-cost spell for Justice that summons a Vase, and if you have less monsters than your opponent, it summons another one. It's really hard to trigger that effect as well, because less monsters means it doesn't count equal. So if you both got 1 monster, then this doesn't count. It only does it once. But as well as that, it checks to see if you have less monsters after it plays the first Vase. So essentially, you need to have 2 less monsters than your opponent to be able to use Vase Breaker and have it actually trigger for value. Because, like, you know, if they've got 3 monsters and you've got 1, it summons the first Vase, and then 2 is less than 3, so you get a second one. But if you got 2 monsters and they got 3, it summons the first Vase, and then you both have 3 monsters, and it's like, well, you don't have less than them, you don't get the second one. Anyway, this spell is not very useful. It's one of Justice's worst spells. In my experience, it still seems like it's got one use, which I kind of saw, which was that you could at least use it because a lot of Justice decks that run a lot of spells become so reactive that sometimes they get stuck with a full hand if they're up against another control deck, not being able to play anything because all their cards kill things, but the opponent isn't playing anything to kill. So it's kind of nice that you can have this proactive card to play just so you've got something to do. But yeah, a lot of this time this card just feels like a 4/3/3 and nothing else, which is not great, obviously. But now that the Vases have Taunt, this is a lot better, because the effect of the Vases is that if this gets killed during the enemy turn, then whoever killed it gets -1/-1. I don't think I've ever seen that effect trigger, because they're just 3/3s. Don't get me wrong, there's somewhat of a threat if you're playing an aggressive deck, but because this is clearly a comeback mechanic, you know, it summons 2 Vases only if you're, like, falling behind, and if you're not, it's just a 4-cost 3/3, which is awful for aggressive decks. It means that Vases were essentially... They'd never have their effect trigger because there was no reason to attack into them unless the person with the Vases was being aggressive. You couldn't be aggressive with the card that summoned the Vases, and then as well as that, they didn't have any kind of threat in themselves, like, that made it so like you had to deal with them. So now they have Taunt. It's very nice now because this dust is actually going to trigger, and even then, it's not a huge effect, the -1/-1, but it's something. So Vase Breaker might be playable now. Anyway, K round. I've heard this card's been really annoying recently. Well, C round actually I meant, but K-Round is the one that got buffed. K-Round, sorry, nerfed. Taunt Candy. What's different? Ah, yeah, haste. Don't have haste anymore. Okay. Does that actually matter too much? I don't know. When you got Taunt and Candy, I feel like the haste doesn't actually matter too much. It definitely matters somewhat. Like, definitely it is a nerf, but I don't know if that actually changes the effectiveness of it much. Oh, Cracked Table got nerfed. I'm over that. I kind of don't like this card. Effect update. Delay. Add a T-set to your hand. If you have less HP than the opponent, give it -1 cost. Oh, is it literally just a delay instead of a magic now? Yeah, whatever. Fair enough. Police Line. Oh. Police Line got nerfed. Oh, man. Oh, damn. That's a hit. Wow, how OP was this card? Knocking it down from a 3/4 to a 3/2 just feels nasty. You could never have one of these things survive now, basically. It looks like. Like, I don't know. Am I overreacting? It feels like Police Line could never survive now. It literally has to attack into a 1-attack monster. My god. Oh, and Spider Flower got nerfed. Yeah, hate to see it. Not going to say undeserved, because this card is really, really good, but you hate to see it, because this card is very, very fun. Well, anyway. Spells Balancing, Will to Fight apparently got buffed. Oh, effect update, okay. Add the next lost soul to the top of your deck with +2/+2 and haste. If you have 15 or less HP, earn 3 gold. Oh, so if you're low on health, this is literally free. Wait, okay, wait. Okay, I'm having some ideas. So, I had a moment for a second where I'm like, wait, actually, that's bad, because since this only shuffles something into your deck, and you have to wait until the next turn to draw it, it's not actually a good idea to play this when you're on low health, because you're probably just going to die. However, what you could do is potentially find a deck that abuses the fact that this is essentially a free spell that's still technically a 3-cost spell. What I mean is, you could get a borderline infinite supply of this spell through Golden Flowers or something like that, or Jukebox, Cafe Jukebox, I mean, to get lots of copies of this spell in particular. Somehow make it so you can guarantee your health will go below 15, but you won't die. Once you set up that situation, you have a bunch of these spells which all trigger shock, but technically cost 0. Is there a way you can just destroy them with that? Like, does mine still trigger off of shock specifically? Wrong one. What am I doing? Decks. I think my Perseverance deck is empty. Yeah. Oh, it's when you cast a spell, you haven't cast this game. Never mind. Never mind. Yeah. Okay. Right. So, is there still any way you could make that busted with shock? I mean, fly. If you could find a way to kill off the flies as well, but then that sounds a bit convoluted. Oh, maybe you can't abuse this. Wait, maybe you could just make their entire deck high blocks, but then I think that's a bit memey. If this could hit face, which to be fair, it probably shouldn't be able to, that would probably be unfair, but if this could hit face, that... Okay, so, yeah, okay, it looks like there's basically no way that you can make this work unless you did something really convoluted with flies. But yeah, if you could, in theory, set it up so that, there was, like, something that you could actually win the game off of from all those, like, shock triggers, then yeah, Will to Fight, this combo could work out. As it is right now, I think this is a small buff, but I don't think it really changes much. I mean, I don't think it's a bad change, I like it, but I think in normal games, making this card free, what's nice, it's only going to be free in situations where it's already a borderline dead card in your hand. So, yeah. I don't know, if you're just below 15, you're probably not dead next turn, and then you get to the next turn and you get your 5/5 haste, and you get your comeback mechanic and all that, and you get back on the board. It's just... I don't know. I don't know about that. Well, anyway, Last Dream. I don't even remember what this was last time. Oh, it went back to this. Give all ally monsters +1/+1. If you have 1 HP, give them +7/+7 instead. What was it before this? I honestly don't remember. I remember it was this before in the past, like a while ago, it used to have this exact same effect. but I don't remember what it was the update before this, to be honest. I think it was something similar to this. I think they wanted to make it something similar to this, but there was some small difference, and apparently whatever it was worse before, and now it's better. And apparently Control Wire was busted. Of course, I didn't get to play with it, but that does sound about right. Wait, it costs 4? I thought it cost 5. Oh my god, right, okay. That makes sense. So now, summon an exact copy of an enemy it has to be an enemy now. God damn it. No. No. Oh. Wow, okay. And this part, the final balance thing, actually surprised me and confused me a little bit at first. Criticals. Effect update. At the start of every 6 turns, give all ally monsters +1 attack wherever they are. And you might be like, what the hell? This is an artifact, criticals? So I obviously was like, what's going on? And I went straight to here, and then... Yep, Counter-Strike is gone. Ding, ding, ding. Anyway. But seriously though, Counter-Strike was the artifact before this, for anyone watching in the future. Counter-Strike used to be a legendary artifact that was in the game for a long time, which I don't think anyone used ever. Which was essentially an artifact which made it so that your monsters had +1 attack while it was the enemy turn. So they'd take 1 more damage for attacking into your monsters, but obviously your monsters themselves would not deal any more damage when you attacked with them. It would only be when they were attacked into. So Counter-Strike might sound like it had some applications, but the main problem was, when you hear this effect, the first thing you probably think is, okay, let me go find some cards that, like, you know, they have effects based on their attack value, and like I can get better effects by having a higher attack value while it's the enemy turn and all that. And I've looked through the entire collection, and I'm basically 100% sure at this point that there is literally no card in the entire game that synergizes with that effect. Except for basic synergy, like, it's better if the opponent doesn't want to attack into this card, so giving it +1 attack makes it so they don't want to attack into it, you know, stuff like that. Aside from stuff like that, using it with, like, can't attack monsters, or monster with 0 attack but taunt or whatever, aside from the obvious stuff like that, there is literally no synergy with the previous Counter-Strike at all in the entire video game, as far as I'm aware. I thought there was maybe like a card that, like I don't know why but I had it in my head that there was a card in this game that had a dust that only triggered if you had a certain amount of attack, and I was thinking I'll use it with that, because then if they kill it off, it'll have +1 attack and it'll trigger the dust. But I must have been thinking of another card game, because there's no card in the game that does that. So yeah, now we got this instead. At the start of every 6 turns, give all ally monsters +1 attack wherever they are. Gotta say, okay, first of all, I love this. This is a lot more interesting than the previous effect. I think this is... I don't know, I just think this is a really cool idea. I think this will be really fun to play with. But in terms of strength, I'm not sure. And, I mean, of course, I'm fully prepared to be wrong, considering how little I played this past month. But... I'll say this. I think this is going to be playable, but niche. Very niche. I think this is going to be basically just barely playable, but, like, very close to just literally a meme. Because, like, it doesn't sound that bad. It sounds like, in fact, if anything, it sounds quite good, like having this permanent buff that stacks over and over and over every 6 turns. But then remember, Doom triggers every 10 turns. And in my experience, Doom most games only triggers once. Maybe twice. So... when you realise that 6 turns is that much, because, like, you know, it's not 10, but, you know, it's still quite a few turns, it's like, okay. So actually, when I think about this, I'm probably only going to have this trigger 2, maybe 3 times each game. And then when you realise you're getting that with a legendary artifact, it does start to get a bit, is that worth it? Especially because... while I would say if you guaranteed got this 2 to 3 times every game, that probably would be worth it, you got to remember that, especially if you get it 3 times or whatever, you're probably only going to get to use that, like, the point where everything's got +3 attack for a couple turns before the game is over. So, yeah, most of the game you're going to spend with no buff or 1 attack buff. And then, although you probably can get to 2 attack or 3 attack buffs pretty consistently, by the time you're at that point, there's probably only a couple turns in the game left. So yeah, I don't know. Don't get me wrong, I fully see the potential power of this card. It definitely has the potential to be absolutely insanely busted. But I just think that we have to be realistic, that this is a very, very slow artifact, which prevents you from running any other artifacts because it's a legendary. And definitely you can make a deck around it, but I just feel like you'd have to put a lot of effort in to make sure that deck has the survivability. But then you also have to find a way to have a win condition, and it's like, I'm not sure about it. Although now I think about it, wait, okay. This is almost definitely a meme, but I still want to try it, and who knows, maybe it actually works. This with Ultimate Heal, because the last time I did play was just to mess around with Ultimate Heal, and when I played around with it, I had very polarizing games. Basically, every game went to mill, because none of us could kill each other because all our monsters were enormous. But basically, every game went to mill, and every game I either got completely destroyed or I completely destroyed them. And in the games where I got completely destroyed, I managed to keep it a stalemate for a really long time, but I just never had any way to come back from it. Like, I had all these monsters that would basically never die, but they just weren't doing enough damage, and I was trying to buff them up, but I was just running out of cards to do it. So having a constant increasing in an attack that's permanent, that works for every monster, in a deck where every monster is going to have over 20 health by the end of the game, I have to admit, I'm thinking about that. That might genuinely, unironically, be a good strategy for like a long game deck. Oh, I don't know. I guess that would be a quote-unquote control deck. That feels weird calling it that, but yeah. Man. Well, anyway. That's it for this month's changes. Now, at the end of the video, though, before we go, there's something I've got to kind of say, which is, oh man, I don't take pleasure in saying this, but like, I'm not sure how much I can really continue with this Undercards content, to be honest. I was thinking of putting it at the start of the video, but I just thought, if you care about the content, you'll probably be watching to the end anyway, and if you don't care about the content, then you don't care about this announcement and all that. But yeah, I'll still probably cover these monthly updates if like you want me to keep doing them, and I think I still will do the custom card series for a bit, considering, you know, I only did one episode of that, and you guys seem to want it. But I'm not sure if I'd be doing other Undercards videos so much anymore, just because I can't really stay into this game, and, you know, even though I still think I know enough to talk about the game, just because, you know, I generally got a lot of experience in a lot of other card games, I'm definitely aware that, like, because I don't play it as often, I'm missing a lot of that simple knowledge from just having played it, you know, just simple experience of that, just gut sense of, oh yeah, this is bad, this is awful, this is great, this is amazing, you know, because I've played the game enough. I haven't. I have no idea if I should continue and finish the free-to-play account series, because it does seem like you guys generally don't care about those videos, at least going by the comments and like views and all that. It seems like you care about the other videos a lot more. And I mean, I do still have the footage. You can still upload the rest of it if you want, but it's just like, you know, it's, to be honest, it's just tedious to go through because there's a lot of footage, and like I actually have to spend quite a while editing those, even though it's not necessarily super high effort, just because there's a lot of footage to go through and I have to cut out all the boring bits and all that. But so that means it's not really fun to edit those videos, and, you know, if it's like, oh, it's not fun for me, and also it seems like you guys aren't that into that content, then it's kind of like, do I bother finishing it? Well, anyway, that was a kind of two-part announcement there. I mean, I will say this is not a definitive, guys, I'm leaving Undercards. Hell, you know what, maybe in 3 months I'll just randomly be back into Undercards again. I'll actually be playing it regularly, and I'll actually want to make videos on it again, but for now, I don't know. I'm sorry about this, but if you watch my channel regularly, then you might be getting a feel for this already. That generally, I don't know what it is, but with games, I become extremely obsessed with a certain game for a period of 1 to 2 months, and then I move on to the next one. And I do come back to games that I've already enjoyed in the past. It's not like the second I move off of a game and I'm not interested in it anymore, I never play it again. But a lot of the time, yeah, it's a little bit before I feel like playing it again. So anyway, sorry about that, but thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.